go, though you never asked.
Yeah. Might have to dance. All right, I guess we'll start with, a couple of weeks ago, we lost Chairman Michael Murphy, passed away. Good colleague, great friend, and just like to have a moment of silence. All right, thank you. We'll go to roll call.
Kevin Scully,
Here.
Chip Postiglino,
Here.
Marcy Daniel. Here. Steve Thaw,
Here.
and John Seeley is out tonight.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Then, for anyone, please make note of the fire exits, just in case things go wrong tonight. Windows will always do.
As long as they're 5.5 square feet.
Yes. Yes, you would know. All right, so what are we gonna continue with the public hearing for Sears?
Well, if you go by the one I just gave you, Eagle View Estates.
No, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
All my notes.
Well, you can just put, I just added Eagle View that we
Okay.
have to say they want to be continued again.
All right, yeah, so Eagle View is up and they asked for to be delayed or continued at the next meeting?
They want 60 days, so they're asking to come back on the August 23rd meeting.
Okay. Shouldn't be a problem, right?
Shouldn't they?
Right, so you should just entertain a motion to put it over to August, to continue the public hearing on August 23rd.
All right.
I make a motion to continue this public hearing on August 23rd, 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Oh, very good. We'll move on to where I messed up before. Continue the public hearing for Cirrus. Are they around here?
Yeah, Dave.
Yeah, David. How are you today, Dave?
Cody?
I'm doing well. It's good to see everyone here.
You too.
So at our last meeting, it appeared that the project had received a favorable response from the board. Well, we had to work out some logistics on how this area variance could be established. It's my understanding, that the attorney talked to David, who was retained by our client, and discussed about a restrictive covenant and time constraints associated with the area variance and needing to renew it after a certain period of time, but during increments of periods of time. We would agree, and we'd like to continue with the approval process. And based on great words of advice I received from Chip, I'll be quiet at this point.
Yeah, so that email we got from Dave, that definitely saved a motion to attorney-client for me. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because that was going to be one of my first courses of order. So it sounds like that is a possible thing to put on there, a 3, 4, or 5 year contingency, and you can make that stronger.
Yes, I think.
Have that email.
Yeah, the legal research that we did following the June 2 meeting confirmed that while you can't give a variance to a person and attach it to the land, you can place a time limit on the variance. So, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever you see fit, that is something that's enforceable. And the applicant had suggested, I think at the last meeting, and the attorney that contacted me as well confirmed that the applicant would be willing to execute a restrictive covenant that would be filed, that would be in the chain of title of the property, to specifically be sure that any prospective purchaser would be on notice that this thing expires, again, if you were inclined to grant, that the condition would be that it expires in X number of years, and so they don't have an expectation that it is there.
So a restrictive covenant, is that like a letter that goes into the deed? Something along those lines?
Basically, what you do is, it's a covenant that runs with the land that says, it can only be used for this purpose, or it has the land has attached to it these restrictions. So that when people go to buy the property, the first thing they do is they do a title search, and they look to see, all right, what's going on? Is there some easement? Is there some restriction, or et cetera? And then whatever's recorded in that chain of title comes up. And so that would come up, so somebody would say, aha, I can't count on this being there.
Okay.
Now, on the other hand, that doesn't necessarily mean that somebody, a new purchaser couldn't then say, all right, well, expired, or it is expiring, I'm gonna come back and apply for the same release and try to make the same case. The people might be different, and the particular hardship that I think has, that has given rise to this application would no longer be there, right? The hardship is the fact that these people didn't know that the apartment was illegal because the predecessors, basically worked fraud on them. And that wouldn't be the case here. So there may be an argument there to say we can differentiate it.
They want.
Correct.
So
But that would be an argument.
Yes.
But it would come up, it would come to light in the title search.
With a restrictive covenant, it would and should.
Right. So then I guess my question when I was reading all that, so 2, 3, 4, 5 year stipulation on it or limit is if it expires, why that, say the owner is still there, and at that point, what's the process?
The process would be that they would come back, it would expire, and they'd be in violation, unless they came back, and they'd have to come back and say, look, this is a situation, we're still here, would you please extend it?
Right.
And it would be on record that we gave to begin with.
Yeah.
And that hardship would still be there.
You'd be hard, if the person is still there, and there's no material change in circumstances, you'd be hard pressed to deny. But if there's otherwise a material change in circumstances in the house or the neighborhood or something that could independently justify a denial, down the road. But the law favors applicants in those circumstances if there's nothing material that's changed.
What I see it does is it serves notice to the next owner that they can't use the same I didn't know or I was bushwhacked, because it's going to come up in the search, expired or not expired.
That's the main advantage.
Right.
And it doesn't set any kind of possible problematic risk
It-
outside.
No, it shouldn't.
It should not. It should not, because
The way I read your email was,
Yeah, because the particular unique circumstances that would give rise to a grant here is not just, well, I'm asking for, I forget the dimensions, but I'm just asking for double the size, and you guys are like, all right, well, it's fine, double the size is fine, we don't care. That would be problematic from a precedent standpoint, potentially, but that's not what's going on here. There's special factors, including
that was.
the fraud that was basically, committed on the buyers, and B, their unique need given the circumstance. What is it? Who's the person and what's the situation again?
It's the father.
The father.
And renal failure and everything associated.
Yeah, medical
Yeah,
issues.
there's
Right.
a lot of
Yeah,
a lot of
A lot of medical issues.
And just explain. Could you just explain to the board and me, what is it about the relief? Just explain the physical setup. Why is this helpful to him to have this area?
Sure. So the additional area of the apartment allows for a bedroom and a private bathroom. And that's what gives him the quality of life, because he has that privacy. It is sequestered in the house. You know, it's behind a private door, has its own bathroom. He has episodes, he has up and downs, he has dialysis, things like that, and it just adds to the quality of life. And also, his wife and daughter help with that, and at least it's not out in the middle.
Own personal space to be there, yeah.
Like, so it's connected enough that the family can help him, but private enough that in his moments he can have the privacy.
Correct.
It's, yeah. Okay.
Which is becoming frequent.
Yeah.
How would they be notified when it expires?
Can I answer that, please? You know, with accessory apartments, the building department makes inspections once a year. So even if they were to not, life got in the way and they forgot to come back and notify, still the building department monitors it once a year. So the building inspector or his assistant, whoever would be there, they would see a change in condition or notice a change in the parameters of this area variance and would, you know, remind them that, hey, you need to do this, you need to go back to the zoning board and either ask for the continuation or the restrict or remove the apartment.
David, let me ask you conversely, if the need no longer arose to have an accessory apartment, if the board would go forward and grant it, say for 3, 4, 5 years, and it no longer was a need, would it then, could there be a clause in there for that, to then terminate?
Terminate earlier.
Right.
Yeah, I think it could. You could definitely put it in there, and include that in the covenant and include it in the condition. You know, there'd be an open question whether that would sneak too close to, well, are you giving the variance to the person? So I think if they, let's say it expired a year early, and, I could see someone making an argument, well, you can't do that. We have it at least till the end of the term. But does it mean, like, that would be an unsettled question. I think you could put it in there as a condition and into the covenant if you like, so that it expires at the earlier of 5 years of the date in which this individual is no longer living there.
But I think there's also so many checks and balances for, if that were to happen, because it's gonna come up in the deed, and it's not to the person, it's to the property.
Yes.
So if it's the change before, or, whatever life gets in the way, if it's gonna change ownership, it's gonna be flagged.
Yes.
I would think.
I would think so as well.
Yeah.
Actually, in that regard, do we have the name of the individual? Like, if the hardship is this person and what this, ordeal that he's going through, and we're going to be, articulating it. I don't want to invade his privacy, but on the other hand, we should probably have his name so we can.
Yeah.
refer to it.
Residing as this
So that is
residence.
very specific, yeah.
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 Jesus Cerise. Jesus Suris.
Got it. Got it. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the board? And I see, so this is a public hearing. We opened it up to the public. If there was any comments last meeting, or if there's anyone here from the public that has anything they'd like to say at this time, this is the time to be heard. And with that, with no one coming forward, if there's no other questions, at this point, I think I'd like to make a motion to, just stop me if I'm,
So you got it. Close the public hearing.
yeah, close the public hearing. And,
I'll second the motion.
thank you. All those in favor? Aye.
So the next order of business would be to, again, you have 62 days to make a decision, so you don't have to make a decision tonight, but it seems like you have the information that you need. If you'd like to, we can, discuss the balancing test, at least quickly, and go through the 5 factors.
I think we
discuss
can
the conditions.
Yeah, we can do that very
Yeah.
quickly, because, right, it's, you know, they've been very patient and they've
Yeah.
given us everything that we have asked for. It's a really clear picture, David, we do appreciate that. I know that there's something hanging over their heads and I don't want this to be there.
Yeah, we want this thing.
Right. So what do you got there?
So, yeah, so the, just a step through it,
Right.
you all know it's a balance of best benefit to the applicant against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare. The first factor is whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties by the granting of an area variance.
I think that's
Yeah,
enough.
I would think not, no.
And then whether it's the feasible alternatives and the benefits sought by the applicant be achieved by some other feasible method.
No.
No.
Is the variance substantial?
No.
I'm sorry, just thinking about the substantiality. What's the square footage of them again, David?
Yeah, so an accessory apartment, per the zoning code, has a maximum of 750 square feet. We're asking for approximately 1,470. So it's a variance of 720 square feet.
So it's substantial,
It's
but
substantial.
all
Doesn't change the
questions and all information have been given us to help us deal with that size. And
Yeah, so it's substantial, but no single factor is determined.
it could be explained.
And it's mitigated by the
Right.
circumstances.
If you want to get technical, if it's substantial, then it's substantial.
No, but it is, so.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, number 4 is whether there would be an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions.
No.
And last, whether the difficulty was self-created.
No.
I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, no.
The rare no on that one.
Yeah.
Wait, I heard
This
this word
particular
float
case,
around.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna hold somebody for
It was kind of hidden
one
from
thing
the
before.
Yeah, I mean, right, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, there is some super level of diligence that would have revealed this to them.
Yeah,
But, you know,
impractical level.
yeah,
Yeah.
but the conditions certainly led to the path that we all understand, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
So, it sounds obviously like the board's in favor of a grant. Question is now the conditions. It seems to me also from our prior discussion that the conditions would be, you know, an expiration of a number of years, and then at the earlier of X number of years, with X being, you know, for you guys to talk about, or the date that the individual mentioned is no longer occupying the premises, and on the condition that the applicant execute and record a restrictive covenant, and we can do that in a form to be approved by me, you know, afterwards, and handled by the attorneys, and they can record that. Those would seem to me to be the conditions.
I think I would like to lean, and this is, everyone jump in, is to go to the 5-year.
Yeah.
Because, you know, hopefully they have 5 good years in them, and you don't want to be thinking about this, because there is checks and balances if anything were to happen.
I'm all for the 5.
I'm all leaning that way, if everyone's, yeah. And then,
With the 5-year on there, I don't even necessarily think that extra covenant is needed.
I would recommend that you do the covenant.
Okay.
Again, the most important thing is that you don't want to hand.
But
Right.
that's the one thing, but in terms of the person still occupying it,
That part of it.
that part, of it,
right.
that's what I meant.
No, I think that, I agree, but I also think that, like you say, that covenant, just with the person's name residing at this
Yeah.
location, to be
Yeah.
put there, I think that would suffice.
Yes,
You know,
yeah.
if that works, if you agree.
Yeah, I can work through that. Basically, that's the board's intent is.
Yeah,
But we'll give you 5 years, and if he's still there, you can come back and ask for an extension.
right.
If he's not still there, you know, we would anticipate that it would come to an end.
Yes,
And
yes.
Right.
Yeah, so I'll word the
Okay.
resolution in that fashion. And we'll also have the restrictive covenant appropriately worded in that regard. We'll figure it out.
So then, is there, anyone like to make a motion to approve
On those conditions.
on those conditions that we all just spoke about?
I'll make a motion to approve the variance on conditions that were just spoken about.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And then we'll take a separate motion to authorize me to prepare a resolution consistent with that and for chairman, or acting chairman to sign.
I'll make the motion for Dave Party to draft a resolution reflecting what we spoke about to be signed by the acting chairperson.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Dave.
Dave, thanks you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I think we're making this easier.
Oh, I appreciate that, Kevin, thank you.
Yeah, I thought
I thought it was a fire truck.
it was the big one. It's the big one, Elizabeth.
It sounds like a word of an EC system.
A little comforting to know that other people are hearing those voices also.
I know George and I
It almost sounds like a bearing in something.
I thought it was sounded like an AC system.
Yeah, in the AC. Excuse me.
All right, moving on, we have a new public hearing. Joel Mann, 105 Forest Avenue, Monroe, New York.
None of the green parts come back? I know I'm speaking with,
I have the son,
Not
the
using
signatures,
them.
Albie.
who?
Albie.
Yes. Sorry, I forgot. He said he was going to be with the signatures. Oh, you can leave it over if you want. All right, thank you.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to open this public hearing.
Second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. How you doing today?
Good evening. Presentation. I'm going to defend myself on a cell phone ticket now, so. Please hold in court. That's typically what I'm hearing is doing. Defending myself.
Well, that's not a good sign right now, typically when you're in the courtroom.
Yeah. Anyway,
Moving on. I digress. Moving right along.
So, we are here for the proposal for a variance. It's basically, like we said, it's technically 8 variances, but most of them are pre-existing. There's just 3 of them that have a minor change, and one is even a positive change, as a reduction of the lot coverage was reduced from 93% to 73%, and the right side yard is increased from 23% to 28%, and the other side yard from 27 to 86. So this, the others are basically keeping the pre-existing condition. We provided the floor plans to the board, basically giving an idea of what we're doing there, and we're trying to keep the character of the neighborhood. It's not a big house, it's still basically generally 1 story with a second half-story like in the master bedroom. And with that, I hope that we can then get an approval tonight.
Now,
Remind me, when you decrease the lot coverage, and we spoke about this old slab,
Yeah.
was there anything else that you were getting rid of?
Now,
No, this one, okay.
Yeah.
Kevin, I was going through, your question was on that, the slab, and it just, and that's all it was by removing that slab.
Yeah.
When, I don't know if anyone really looked at the plans of what they're trying to do with this. I didn't see anything that really stood out of the ordinary for me, where it set off a flag, but, you know, that's just my eye, and I kind of looked at that because I think it gives a little glimpse into what, you know, what they're trying to achieve here with that, and I don't know if anyone else had seen anything that might have set off a flag or a question on that.
I did not.
I actually thought that the drawings and what you're trying to do actually looks good.
Yeah.
You know, and this helped me a lot, these plans. It really completes that picture.
Thank you for the compliment.
I don't have the sheet with the 9 variances. Yeah.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
And what are all of them pre-existing?
No.
All of them are pre-existing.
Yes.
3 are being changed a little bit from the, 4 actually are being changed from the pre-existing condition. 3 a little bit more, and 1 is being reduced and better.
All right, so I'm gonna ask this question, and keep in mind, I'm colorblind, right? So I have a hard time, so if you could just say which,
So I will go that way.
yeah, the ones that are, the 3 that are pre-existing that you're changing.
So the first 4 are the same, stays the same. You can see
Right.
it's only in the one number, 20% pre-existing. The 5th one is originally 23% pre-existing, and the new proposed is now 28%. That's the top number above it.
And that's for the side yard right,
Yes.
and that is,
Actually, it's not for the side yard right, it's for the total of both side yards.
okay, your total.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The right side yard is actually pre-existing 26, and it stays 26.
And that's, I'm assuming then that's because of the proposed stairs
Because of the left
on
side.
the left side.
Yes.
Right, that's gonna add to the total.
You're going from 50 to 47.
Yeah.
Then we have the next one is the rear yard, the existing is 87%, and the proposed is 39%.
You're keeping that by 1 foot.
1 foot, correct.
Can you repeat those numbers, please?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
The existing is 87%, and the proposed is 89%. It's basically 1 foot, the increase.
Okay, thank you. I just didn't hear most of the.
That's that 38 on the survey, existing conditions, that's the one that says 38 and a half?
Yeah, 38, yes, and it's, the existing is 38, and proposed, one second.
For some reason, I'm having a hard time with this one. I'm having a hard time figuring out. Maybe it's the halves, and the halves disappear on the chart. Maybe that's what's going on.
Right, so he's going, so on the total one here, for the total side yards, it's going from 23 to 28, and it's because on the first sheet, he's proposing those stairs
Oh,
coming off the side.
Okay, well, I see what's going on. I'm looking at, in the percent variances, that's the one with the red, but I'm looking at the wrong numbers. Right, because the percent is showing.
Right.
I'm just trying to back it up. So the total side yard is 47, and that's the six, that consists of,
26, 24.
so right here is 26.
Right.
So we have this plus
he doesn't have the left there, he just goes from the total, so 47 would be, right? He's just got the right at 26 and he goes to the total. So 47 minus 26.
The numbers
I don't
are
see.
changed, I'm sorry, there is a mistake here.
There's nothing, okay.
The columns are a little bit mixed up, I see now. The
Okay.
percentage is good, the
Good.
problem is only when it says existing 50 and proposed 47, it's just the opposite. Existing is 47 and proposed existing is, one second, no. Existing is 50, proposed is 47, so it's okay, no.
That's right.
The counts are good.
Yeah.
No, adjust.
So to be fair, just show me where, on the side yard,
Yes.
there's the one that's the pre-existing, it's 26, it's supposed to be 32 and a half, it's remaining 26. That's over on the front right, that's shown on the plan, that's 26.1.
Right.
Right.
I have on the left
Okay.
side, the existing is 24.3, and the proposed is 21.6.
Because you're measuring to those proposed stairs,
They're proposed to
which are up front. So, yeah.
They're on the sheet.
Plan is like on the building.
Yeah.
What page are you looking at?
The second, the third page on the side plan.
Oh, I see. Hold on, right, okay.
Yeah. So right here.
So this is the house, right?
So this is the large one, the existing, and this is the new one. This is the existing, and the new one.
Yeah, what's on, so this is, what doesn't make sense to me on the page that we were just looking at, where we saw the 26.1.
Yeah.
Where that was coming from here.
Yeah.
But your only other offset was going back here, and that didn't, oh, it's this one. 24.
This is existing.
24, yeah. Yeah. It is, right. On the addition,
So it's reducing it by, okay,
yeah.
new, okay, side yard,
Yeah.
okay,
Salad.
okay. Got it, so this is,
So the variance, so it's a bigger encroachment.
yes,
Right.
slightly bigger by 3 feet because of that little bump out on the addition. Okay, I got that one. Now, the rear yard is your,
It's a different story. So now if we count from here, we have 88.5%. Now, so this one, we have 87.3. So it's the engineer around the top, maybe we need to add a point, so I don't know.
I don't know, but just so I know what it is.
Yeah.
So now it's this one. I'm trying-
Existing is 88, and the proposed is 87.
I see, it's a little bit closer.
Yeah.
So the non-compliance is
I see.
percentage.
Existing.
I also mixed up with the same.
New.
Well, and it's just very close, because
Yeah.
it just touches that corner of the backyard.
Side.
It's almost rear.
Okay, I got it, so that's the rear,
Yeah.
existing, and it's just slightly, because it's just a tiny bit, a little bit of different area. Okay, I got it. Lot coverage is being reduced because, what are we removing?
Slab on top.
The slab, okay.
There was a reason that this area, this is on an existing area, so to begin with, we did increase, and this was supposed to take.
Okay. Okay, got it, and then everything else is the same, and then the left side yard, that's the one we talked about already. Okay,
Here, it was in the area, and here it says,
correct.
this is underlined in the whole.
Okay, I got it. Confusing, but now I get it. Now when you visualize it, I understand.
Or possibly the
Right. Or puts the Greek store.
you make it
Make it a
like a
roof.
slab.
Yeah, or that dirt deck where
Yeah.
it becomes watertight.
So really, the bottom line is, all you're doing is you have an existing house, you're putting an addition on the back that brings it slightly closer to the side yard and slightly closer to the rear yard, and that's it,
Yeah.
right? And you're removing the slab in the back to take into account the coverage.
Right.
Okay, got it, easy.
So my point was with because you had so many pre-existing variances, the three that you really are gonna be changing, there's, as I look at it, and I had trouble with the color, but I kind of figured it out, is unless I'm missing something, there's really not much that can be mitigated or given here.
It's 3 months.
Yeah.
Done pretty responsible.
Yeah, done responsible, and as far as the, I don't know if I missed something on the lot coverage that could have been in good faith to help out there, but I don't see it to the naked eye or to the color line.
The proposed addition is smaller than concrete pad.
Right.
So-
Right.
This proposal.
So that cleared up the three, those three that were being tweaked. I don't know if anyone else on the board has any other questions regarding to the survey or the plans that he's proposing to redesign the house with?
So I have a clarifying question. The area that was existing, the portion of the dwelling that was existing, is being removed completely
So we are moving till the foundation,
to the foundation,
yes,
and then you're gonna be replacing it?
replacing it with the new plan that we're showing now. So basically remodeling the whole first floor
Yeah.
and adding like a partial second floor with the master bedroom.
On that existing footprint.
So where's the bedroom? Is it just internal?
You can see it on the architectural,
Page 3.
on the architectural plan. So the second, not on the site plan, we have the architectural plan. You can see on page A102, you can see the white background from the existing first floor. Now it's being remodeled. Basement floor, and then the first floor. Yes, this is the existing footprint.
This is just being repurposed though?
Yes,
Yeah, and then this is really what the addition is?
this is the addition.
Mhm.
The addition is not there.
Mhm.
So, basically, later, the rest is unfinished, actual addition. And the next one is the regular addition dining room.
Thank you.
Good there, Marcy?
I am, thank you.
Okay. If there's no other questions by the board, I guess we could open this up to any public comments. If there's anyone in attendance that would like to step forward, now's the time to be heard with your concerns. Okay, with that, at this point, if there's no one stepping up, no concerns, I think I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
You wanna go through the?
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah, let's
Standards?
answer the question.
Yeah, yes, no other question, might as well.
Yeah. So the public hearing is closed. It's a balancing test, as you know. guided by the 5 factors. The first factor is whether there be any undesirable change produced in the character of the neighborhood or community by the grant.
No.
No.
In my opinion.
Yeah,
Is there any feasible alternative to achieving the benefits sought?
Considering how small some of the variances are, I don't see that as really any feasible,
yeah.
practical way.
You know, it's not answering the question, but it's done responsibly. If that, so I'm gonna lean to no. You know, given that all those existing variances and how we, you know, really on those 3 that were being tweaked were done responsibly. That makes
I
sense.
think they were done practically.
Yeah.
I think is a better word.
But is that what we're being asked?
Yeah. No, that would explain it.
Yeah, so the actual wording of the standard is whether the benefits sought by the applicant, right, so that's the tricky part. People forget about this. The benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than through an area variance. In other words, is there some way that he can achieve the same square footage, you know, his benefits sought, I guess is one way to look at it, other than through an area variance. There's some other, you know, typically that's a factor where there's some other spot on the property, like you can't just jam a shed into the back corner when there's another spot on your property that you can easily put it and have the same storage space.
Or go up.
If you want
Right,
an
go
addition,
up.
then there is no other way to do it.
Right.
And that's why he's here.
And the only other way to do it would have been just keeping the same footprint and go in another story.
Right.
And then you would, you know, play around with the height variance.
Yeah.
That's the only way that
This is only going up partially under certain areas of the footprint,
Right,
not the entire footprint, correct?
right.
And that factor typically goes hand in hand with the overall guiding principle too, that you're bound to grant only the minimum variance necessary for him to achieve the benefit.
Right.
And I think what you all seem to be saying is that he's come forward with you know, a relatively minimal variance, you know, a couple feet on the side and a couple feet on the back.
Right.
You know, despite you know, some of the others. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next factor is whether it's substantial. Is the area variance substantial?
No.
No.
The next is was there an adverse effect or impact on the environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district?
No.
And then self-created, is the hardship self-created?
Yes.
Okay. So, sounds like you're, you know, moving towards a grant. Are there any conditions other than a standard condition to the grant, like that he has to follow the, you know, the amended plans, substantial compliance with the amended plans?
Including the slab.
Exactly, so the proposal was shown in that last, I think he shows it to be removed in that plan.
Right.
So that's the concrete step, correct?
Right.
When you bought the house, was there anything there on the wall?
What?
When you bought the house, was there anything there on the wall?
No.
Just some 100-year-old shed?
Probably more than an old shed.
Probably a 100-year-old shed or something.
So,
At this point, would anyone on the board like to make a motion in either way? At this point, you feel comfortable doing that?
I make a motion to grant the variance.
you know, condition upon substantial, I mean, I think it's implied, I always put a standard condition that I put in, substantial compliance with the plans, the latest plans submitted.
I make a motion to grant the variance with the idea that the current plans are followed upon.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Then the standard another
Yeah.
motion to authorize me to prepare the resolution and for the acting chairman to sign.
Make a motion for Dave Carty to create a resolution and have the acting chairman sign.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much, Ben.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Very productive and reasonable. Thank you.
That's because you've got everything prepared for us. Thank you. Trust me.
Yeah, thank you very much. Have a good night, everyone.
You too.
Have a good weekend. Happy holidays.
Same to you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Because they only had the information from Cityscape, they had not been able to provide responses, so they chose to postpone until next month. So there was emails between Dave.
Yeah, I kind of would have been surprised, to be honest with you.
Well, I wasn't sure what the amount of time we had.
Does that request for postponement affect our shot clock?
It's not
I'm sorry.
Does that request for postponement on their end affect our shot clock?
They said that they would, I'm sorry, Dave should answer that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I had a pretty candid discussion with the attorney today about it, and again, I brought that up, and I said, look, he was the one saying, look, I don't think we need to come up. I don't want to waste everybody's time and money if we're coming up for no reason. And I said, look, my main concern is I want to keep moving for the shot clock. I said, a lot of the cell tower applicants, are I'll call it, what's the right word? They're looking to get along and not using the shot clock as a sword.
Yeah.
But there's been at least one in my experience that has used it as a significant sword, and they all held it over like the sort of Damocles over the board's head. It wasn't this board, but I said, I don't know which approach you're taking. He goes, that is not our approach. We fully anticipate never even mentioning shot clock as long as we're moving along expeditiously. The only time we bring it up is if we get the impression that there's just, we're just being asked for an ever-increasing number of unreasonable things, and there's just a delay on top of delay for no reason. As long as we're moving along, because you're not going to hear that from us.
If they were acting in good faith, they don't really want to.
That's what he said. Yeah. And so he said, look, he's really got to get moving before the planning board. He's getting ready to submit to the planning board in the next day or two to get working on that dual track that we talked about. The main thing is what he'd like to do, which makes perfect sense to me, is that if he's going to float balloons and do site visits and do visual analyses, he's going to want to hear from the planning board what do they want, and then maybe schedule a joint date so everybody, because there's overlapping issues, but do the balloon float one time if he can. If he can, he'll do it multiple.
Right.
But why not start hearing from both boards and moving forward with both boards, simultaneously? And I said that sounds reasonable, and he said, look, I haven't been able to respond to Cityscape's more recent comments. He said, look, in my view, Cityscape is telling me my application's not even complete yet. So I need to make it complete. I'll address the thing he's asking us to address, and then we'll just move forward at a reasonable time. So it all seemed, his representations to me in our conversation was a very, cordial one, and it spoke to let's not be too worried about him asking for adjournment and us granting it. So I think it makes perfect sense to just put it on for the next meeting, let some things happen in between, and then see where we are.
Moving on to new projects. We have up Kosovic, is that how you say it? Kosovic.
What's the address for that?
327 Mount
Mountain
Avenue.
Avenue.
Got too many documents with your head.
I got another survey on your part.
Good thing for you.
Yeah, good for you. So board members here before you on this project, 327 Mountain Avenue, because of a pre-existing non-conforming condition. So let me give you a little bit of background on the project. The client approached us to add a two-story addition in the back. That would be to the northeast of the house, or on the upper part of the page. The addition is approximately 12 by 27. It's two-story. It extends the existing kitchen and dining room on the first floor, and on the second floor it extends two existing bedrooms. When we submitted to the building department, they required or requested a survey. We had that performed. and it was noted that the front yard is a violation of the zoning code. So in the SR 15, as you know, the front yard setback is 40 feet. The existing front yard setback to the covered porch is 25 feet. So we're asking variance, so we're asking from the board to grant an area variance of 15 feet.
And that covered porch is already there.
Yes.
Right.
Again, it's all pre-existing, non-conforming.
And it's a 40-foot setback, the front yard, correct?
Correct.
In the porch, and even to the front corner of the house, the two-story houses with not at 40 also.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, so the covered porch and I would say about approximately 5 feet of the main house are encroaching upon the front yard.
What struck me as odd when I looked through this, there was a couple things. I know you said you had the survey, but these are your drawings here. This is your orchard, right? So we don't have a signed or sealed survey.
Yes, that's true, we could submit that.
Yeah, I'd like to see that, please.
We make reference to it.
No, I know you do and all, but, just having that, it holds a standard
Sure.
professionally. So I made note of that. The other thing that stuck out to me is this frame garage
Yeah.
that's 1.8 feet off of the property line.
I'm assuming that's pre-existing.
Yes. Well, we did not include that in this application. Okay. I would like to, however, I don't want to go, don't want to revisit what happened to us with Max Russell's project, where we asked for a determination on that project. We got a land use determination from the building department. We used that as a letter of referral. Then, at some point in time, that was not considered a formal letter of referral to the ZBA, and then that delayed things, and we had to file for a permit. And so, we're in that process. I mean, if it's within the board's jurisdiction to consider the variance of that existing frame garage without us reinitiating the process, I would welcome that.
Yeah, I'm going to refer to more experienced members here. Not calling anyone a liar or information, but because it's not part of this package here, what you're trying to do, right? We're just taking everyone at its word. This is a pre-existing, the frame garage. Just put yourself in my spot, where I'm looking at this and saying, well, it just, it screams out. So I'm not saying it's not pre-existing, but because it's not part of this proposal or what you're trying to hear, there's nothing here to say that it is or was. It could have been put up, after the fact. So I'm not saying, I'm a pessimist at heart, a skeptic, if you will.
Because
but,
typically when we grant variances, we're kind of covering all the variances.
Yeah, was this a topic of conversation that came up with Ben, or just didn't show up on his, because I don't see it in his denial letter, but I know he's, at least in the last couple of years, he's been pretty consistent with if there's a pre-existing condition and you need something else, he would include that and say, just like the last one, like Joel Mann, he was requesting, 8 different variances, for, most of them were for pre-existing
And not being
non-conforming
Not being touched.
and not being touched. This seems to me to be the exact same ilk. I'm
Yeah.
scratching my head why that's not included, unless he's saying it's because it's a different structure.
No, it's not the building department. So, I want to make that very, very clear. So, the sequence of events is as follows. Okay, so we designed a 2-story addition. Okay, the architectural plans were prepared. We submitted those plans. The letter, and then we got a comment letter or comment back from the building department, you need to provide a survey. That survey was provided and given to the building department. This rejection letter or referral letter came as a result of that. Now, I don't know, this frame garage was on the original, on the survey submitted. I can't pretend to know what the thinking was behind it,
Yeah.
but our initial application or scope of work was the two-story addition, which triggered the front yard. Again, if you can find a mechanism or means by which to talk to the building department to include the existing frame garage in a revised referral letter or something, because they have this plan, it's not an issue.
I'm of the thought process, based upon past practice, recent past practice, the example being Joe Mann's, his application right before. It's, that's the type of thing that Ben has typically been saying, hey, if you're going to expand this, and that's pre-existing, you need variances for all of it.
Okay.
And you don't want
No,
to
he
come back
hasn't.
later. Your client doesn't want to come back at a later date.
Right,
So you need
so-
variance for this. I'm with you.
Yeah, no, I hear you, Ben.
To the date to get.
I think what we should do is this. Let's get on a track where you're going to amend your application to include that
Yeah.
as a request. Let's separately, Noreen, if we can coordinate with Ben, either a call with me, or you can let Ben know this issue, unless he feels very strongly that, no, there's a reason that we're overlooking, which easily could be that he doesn't need that, or he doesn't want to include that. If that's the case, then that's one thing. If it's the case that, it's just, human nature, sometimes we overlook it, maybe he didn't pick it up, or it wasn't on his radar screen, and he looks at it and he says, oh yeah, that should have been on the letter. Maybe we'll have Ben issue a revised letter, and David can submit a revised application, but we could, rather than cost you another month, like, we don't want this thing to cost you a month, because, this wasn't your doing.
I appreciate that.
I think Ben's reaction could be, what do you mean that's not in the letter?
Yeah, right.
But then could literally be.
Well,
his reaction.
because it's
It always
really,
is.
this is the first thing that you saw.
Right.
I had to stop focusing on that to go to what was at hand.
So why don't we, if the board is okay with it, again, like, typically best practice would be, look, let's put this on hold, let's talk to Ben, let's see what's going on. It's not really necessarily a positive to the applicant, and I don't see much harm in saying, look, you guys are voting to put it on for a public hearing next month on both variances. That way, the default is that the public hearing notice will go out on both. In the next couple of days, David, submit the amended application. The next couple of days, in connection with that, we'll talk to Ben. And if things go as I think that they probably will, but I can't guarantee it, Ben will agree, Ben will issue a revised letter, David will submit the revised application, it will be identical in all respects to this one, only add, the 1.8-foot side yard variance for the frame garage in the back. And that's what will be in the public hearing notice, and that's what we'll go forward with at the next meeting. If for some reason we get to the next meeting or the next week or so, these best laid plans appear to have gone awry, we'll put a halt on spending the money on a public hearing notice, and we'll just set about saying, all right, we got whatever comes up that I'm not foreseeing right now. We'll just say, okay, well, we're just not going to have it done and ready for next meeting, and we'll just redo it next meeting, and we'll figure out what the problem is next meeting, and we'll solve it next meeting.
And if we can get a copy of the plans.
Yeah, the plans.
Okay, so, listen, we'll rock Kevin Nerve to make sure our submission, we'll have a cover letter, we'll include a copy of the survey, or 8 copies?
The sealed
Survey. We'll amend the application to include the existing garage, so we'll amend our variance application here. And I'll get that submitted by, when is the date, submission date?
Well, it must be your lucky day.
How could this be?
So submission date is July 5th.
July 5th.
So take some time. Put your feet up a little bit.
I'm on vacay. You have to have it by the 7th by 4 p.m.
By July 7th?
Give you 2 more days.
The skies open
As
up.
long as when I walk in the office
This
on
is-
Monday, I
this is your
have.
lucky.
Yeah.
Imagine the unlucky days.
Before we go any further
Tomorrow at 12 o'clock.
with this easy plan, I just want to clarify, nothing's changing. The
No.
footprint is not changing?
No, the footprint
It is
is,
changing.
Kevin, in the back, on the
Back.
northeast side.
Oh,
where
okay.
we're moving this.
Yeah, okay.
This is,
That's why we need to see the plans also there of, you know, what.
But the only variance being sought would be the pre-existing stuff.
correct.
So the variances aren't changing.
Oh, the cover.
The covered porch is existing?
Yes.
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 No, you're right.
That's kind of what I meant.
Right.
Yeah, the covered porch exists, the house exists, the frame.
Because they're asking for a front yardage variance, but that's not changing.
Correct.
That's what makes it even more odd.
Yeah.
That the 1.8 in the back, it's even more odd because the variance that he's identified as a pre-existing
Right,
condition.
Yeah,
right.
And nothing's
that's why I didn't understand why
Unless-
it's not on there.
Again, the only possible explanation is if Ben's interpretation, which could be, of the code is that because it's a separate structure and that structure isn't being expanded, that you don't need it for that.
Yeah, but that's a
I
stretch.
don't think that's how it's interpreted.
Let's get it out of the way for everybody involved.
But we got a plan. I think we have a plan to solve it, and,
Yeah.
you know, you can have Ben give me a call tomorrow, or, you know,
And just to
we
be clear,
can talk to him, we can all talk.
the coverage doesn't need a variance.
Okay.
No,
That's
So you
okay.
got me to look back right away.
no, bottom porch.
That's easy.
Yeah, and the, and that sealed survey would just, you know, that was what was submitted to Ben, right? The survey was this submitted to, when,
For both.
I'm not sure.
right, and that's.
Well, one of the two was, my gut feeling is the survey was submitted to the building department because we generated
I
our
would
site
think so.
plan from the survey.
Right.
So,
But, and if that was the case, and that's why I want that sealed, because it would show that this was on there, and there was no games played where maybe he was looking at something that didn't show that.
not a problem. Not a problem.
And Noreen, just so you know, if Ben can't get his revised letter out in time, that's not the problem, that would not be a problem. Let's just err on the side of including in the public hearing notice this variance. And worst case scenario, Ben says we don't need it, and in which case we've noticed something that we don't need. It's not the end of the world. The end of the world would be the other way. You know, so let's err on the side of sticking it in there, even if Ben doesn't get around to getting his letter or ends up disagreeing.
Well, he has to like it back on the 11th.
I have a feeling something just overlooked.
Okay,
That's fine.
solid.
Do we make a motion for that?
You need a motion to
Yes,
set up the
Because
hearing.
we're gonna do a motion to go to public
To
hearing.
put it on a public hearing.
How
then.
would that motion sound?
Let's just say, let's make a motion to put on an application to hear variances for front yard and for the pre-existing condition in the front yard and the pre-existing condition in the rear yard shed on for a public hearing. With the applicant to submit a revised application to reflect both.
Okay, I make a
That.
motion to set this to public meeting next month with the stipulation that the client revises the application to include the variance for the detached shed at the rear of the house.
You guys have any comments
No.
or questions on that?
Garage.
Steve?
Detached
you're-
garage.
Garage, not a shed.
Garage, detached garage.
That's what I said. I said garage, he said shed.
Oh,
Detached garage.
okay, great.
Those are two things I don't ever,
Second on that?
big part of my subject.
Oh, okay. I understand.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It just, to me, being a skeptic, just too glaring how that was made.
No, it was actually the first thing I saw, and why that wasn't
Like,
there.
what's going on here?
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good night.
Go play lottery.
Now, spare time.
Before the 7th.
There you go. You know what happens, I'll get in trouble now. I have to watch that.
think that leaves us to minutes.
Yeah. Has everybody read the January 25th minutes? So we can vote on them?
I have.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Okay, so if there's no changes you want, we need a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the January 22 minutes.
Second that?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Okay. Did we read the February 22nd minutes?
Yes.
I did.
Yes.
Okay, someone want to make a motion?
I make a motion that we accept February 22nd minutes.
Second that?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, did we read my paper puts together,
March.
March 22nd?
I did.
Yes.
Any
Yes.
changes?
No.
No.
Motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the March 2022 minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Did we read the April 26th?
I did, yes.
I did.
What, Marcy?
I did not.
Okay, so then we got the first three done, the next two we can,
But did you read May?
I doubt we don't
I
have.
know, but just that.
I did not read May.
You did not read May?
I did not.
Okay.
Okay, so April and May we'll do the next meeting. Perfect.
Sorry.
Hey, we got 3 out of 5.
So I guess, with that being taken care of, may adjournment to meeting's done.
Do we want to talk about possibly changing our meeting time, or are we leaving it at 7:30?
We could talk about it.
I propose
For
that
the
we put
record,
our
I make no,
meeting time,
I don't care.
Yep.
Whatever you guys want.
How early were we talking?
6 or 6:30?
I can't do 6.
Okay, what about 6:30?
Like I said, it's 6:30, yeah, there's gonna be that possible.
6:30 is a little, it doesn't matter to me.
So
But it could with other people who are commuting or anything like that. You're cutting it close.
Well, that's
Just
why-
like, yeah.
That's why we're asking.
Yeah.
The next option would be to at least start by 7.
You commute, Steve?
Yeah.
How's your commute?
I'm generally back in Monroe by 5:30.
Marcy?
I have a new commute starting the 11th of July, so I'm not sure how long it's going to be.
You're where?
Yeah,
Where?
New Brunswick.
Ooh, that's a hike.
It is,
Look, that's a hike.
yeah,
So
It's
maybe,
on Jersey
maybe
City.
you're starting on July 3rd.
July 11th.
So why don't we save this discussion for the next meeting?
I'm not
She
sure.
won't be here, so we'll have to discuss
How
it.
about-
But we could start maybe 7.
How about 7? Can we?
The next meeting, go to 7.
7
Yeah,
o'clock,
7.
see how that goes, and it's, it doesn't have to, we can always bring it up again.
And then I could say maybe for August, how that would be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine.
You know, when I say Marcy, we just keep changing it, just keep everything on the Just tweet it out, hey, flash meeting, 5 o'clock, be there.
So I need a motion to change the time to 7.
I make a motion to change meeting times till 7 p.m.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And now you do your adjournment.
Meeting's adjourned.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do you have to say they're entertaining?